So let's continue our discussion of junctional rhythms. We're going to move on into rapid junctional rhythm. So our rapid junctional rhythms include two rhythms. You've got accelerated junctional and you've got junctional tachycardia. Essentially, they're the same. As a matter of fact, when you're trying to identify them on the rhythm strip itself, they're going to look just like a junctional rhythm like we had talked about earlier, with a P wave that is either absent, inverted, or post QRS. The only difference here is that the rate is going to be increased. The rate is increased because you've got increased automaticity of the AV junction. So your rate differences include the regular junctional rhythm or the junctional escape, which is going to be 40 to 60. A accelerated junctional is going to be a rate of 60 to 100 beats per minute, and a junctional tachycardia, which is very easily confused with a supraventricular tachycardia. And as a matter of fact, it really is a supraventricular tachycardia, but its rate is going to be 100 and greater. So we're going to identify the origin of rapid junctional rhythms in the conduction system. We're going to recognize a rapid junctional rhythm on the ECG monitor. And we're going to define the rate parameters, which I've already done, but we're going to look at them again, of a junctional escape rhythm, an accelerated junctional, and a junctional tachycardia. And then we're going to define the concept of pseudo S waves and pseudo R waves. So an accelerated junctional rhythm is just going to be a junctional rhythm with rates between 60 to 100, and a junctional tachycardia is going to be a junctional rhythm with rates that exceed 100 beats per minute. If rates of a junctional rhythm exceed 140 beats per minute, then it is called an AV nodal reentry tachycardia, and we're going to treat it the same. Rates between 130 and 140 beats per minute can either be called a junctional tach or a AV NRT, or AV nodal reentry tachycardia. So we've seen this graphic before when we were going over our junctional rhythms, but if it's a rate between 40 and 60, it's a junctional rhythm. Now, of course, it's got to have these escape complexes in it where there's either an inverted P wave, a hidden P wave in the QRS, or a post-QRS P wave. Then you've got accelerated junctional, which you will identify these differently on quizzes or even when you're identifying the strip itself. And then you've got your junctional tach with rates greater than 100. The P wave in the junctional rhythm can be inverted, or it can occur slightly after the QRS complex, or it could be hidden in the QRS complex. If it is post-QRS, it's most commonly in between the QRS complex and the T wave. In junctional tachycardias, the retrograde P wave can look like a slurred S wave, which is this. So that's what normally an S wave, when it comes down, it should be real sharp. And so a slurred S wave is that hump right there. The terms pseudo S wave and pseudo R wave are used because the two waves appear to be S waves and R waves, but in reality they're not. So in leads 2, 3, and AVF, the retrograde P wave may appear as a slurred S wave. We're doing rhythm analysis right now. We're not in 12 lead yet, so we're not looking at the other leads. So we're going to just really look at it in lead 2. In lead V1, the retrograde P wave may appear as a slurred R wave, and that's something that we'll point out later. But for now, in lead 2, you would mainly just see the pseudo S wave. And the pseudo R wave is what we see here. All right, so just as I mentioned, the rules are essentially the same to identify accelerated junctional rhythms as a junctional rhythm, except the rate's going to be higher. So there's no difference as far as the complex goes. We're going to have an inverted or absent P wave, or it may appear after the QRS as a pseudo S wave. So looking at this one here, for accelerated junctional, my rate is 70, my rhythm is regular, my P wave is absent, so I don't have a PRI, and my QRS looks to be about 010. So because I have absent P waves and a rate of 70, following my rules here, it's called an accelerated junctional rhythm. Junctional tachycardia is exactly the same as accelerated junctional, except if we have a rate greater than 100, we're going to call it a junctional tachycardia. In this case, we may have a P wave that is appearing inverted right here, but whether we identify that or not is still not going to change the fact that it is a junctional tach, because we're missing a complex off this 6-second strip. One should probably be right there and probably right there too. So you've got a rate of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So you've got a rate of about 130. You've got a regular rhythm, P wave, PRI. We do not have a PRI in our QRS. So I'm going to measure from here to right here, and that's 0.08 seconds. So my rate, I don't have a P wave, we have junctional tach. So a lot of the same things that can cause these: ischemic heart disease, intracardiac surgery, dig toxicity, myocarditis, or electrolyte disorders. All right, so looking at the first example here, we've got a rate of 100. It's regular. The P wave is absent, so that means we have no PRI, and our QRS is within normal limits at about 0.10. So this one's right on the borderline, and so we're going to call it an accelerated junctional. Our next one, we've got a rate of 80. We've got a rate of 80. We've got a regular rhythm. We don't have a P wave, so we don't have a PRI, and our QRS looks to be about 0.10 seconds. So at a rate of 80, this again is going to be an accelerated junctional. Now this is actually a wide complex accelerated junctional, and what this means is that the patient possibly has an underlying bundle branch block that's making it wide. But we've got a rate of 70, no P wave, no PRI, is regular, and our QRS is about 0.16 in this case, so it is considered a wide complex. We would still call it an accelerated junctional. On this next example, I've already used my calipers and figured that I need another complex where each red mark is. So counting that, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I've got a rate of 140. Regular rhythm. So the blue arrow on this strip is pointing to an inverted P wave that's occurring immediately after the QRS. So this is that pseudo S wave. This is a common finding in junctional tachycardia, is known as the pseudo S wave. So my rate's 140. It's regular. I've got a P wave that is inverted post QRS. I don't have a PRI, and then I've got a QRS that's about 0.04 seconds. So at a rate of 140, a post QRS inverted P wave, this is a junctional tachycardia. You can tell that this is a kind of slurred S wave. So again, this is a pseudo S wave, which is actually a inverted P wave. So using my calipers, I've determined that this rate is regular, and I need at least 2 more complexes on this 6-second strip. So my rate is 140. It's regular. P wave is inverted post QRS. PRI is absent, and my QRS So measuring from right here to about right there. So it's about 0.06 seconds. So I've got another junctional tachycardia. Now this is in a different lead. This is in lead V1, so this is why you have this pseudo R wave right here. But looking at my rate again, it's about 140 because I need extra, using my calipers, I need extra QRS complexes on the 6-second strip. But it's a rate of 140, it is regular. And then I've got a pseudo R wave as a P wave. Now, if I were looking at this in lead 2, it most likely would be a pseudo S wave. And then my QRS is about 0.06. But with a rate of around 140, I'm still looking at a junctional tachycardia. This rhythm here, I've got a rate of about 140 again. I've got a regular rhythm. This time I have no P wave, no PRI, and a QRS of 0.08 seconds. This is junctional tachycardia. And our last example here. I have no P waves. I've got a rate of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I've got a rate of 110. I've got a regular rhythm, no P waves, no PRI, and a QRS of right at 0.10 seconds. So rate of 110 still makes it a junctional tachycardia.